Yeah, back in the 70s and 80s, everything was always new and improved. And this is also new and improved. I did this video previously, iconic Apollo image, more than meets the eye. And, it was okay. But a lot of people who watch my videos like to watch it on their phones. And when you get to this really complicated stuff, if it's dark at all, it's almost impossible for them to see. So I've tried to make this lighter for all the folks with those phones, and I can always improve on the pictures. I can't imagine what it would have been like to have been an astronaut, to fly over this civilization, this alien existence, looking down in this crystal clear, no atmosphere to obscure your view. It must have been really amazing. Now this structure right here is a big construction. Now before you start thinking image artifacts, and for sure there are image artifacts in these pictures, but they're kind of on the outskirts. They're not as prominent as the real stuff. This thing you're looking at here on the left is a construction. It's a layered construction. We've seen that before, right? There's a stair-step construction. It goes up 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. You can very clearly see that. And it rises up above everything else around. It's the tallest thing that we're looking at least right there in that picture. And you're always looking for something that shows you that these aren't image artifacts, and something like this overhang here with a shadow is a really good example. One example of how you can look at this and try and figure out what it is that you're looking at, because that's what we do all the time. This is alien construction, and so it's not immediately clear to us. And I always feel guilty because I can't get this picture clear. They come to me so messed up. It's amazing that I can get this far in the first place. All of this stuff was either so dark or so bright. It was really seems impossible. I put these areas in gray, and right up against the escape module. This is the lunar escape module. There in the area of that rocket, there is some tall buildings there. Beautiful colors of purple, pink, green, a lot of green. So people like Bruce and other astronomers have all been saying for a long time there are lots of colors on the moon. And yet the only pictures that we ever see are smooth, sandy surfaces. I'm calling it sand. It's regolith, right? Smooth surfaces, all gray, no definition, boring, really, when you look here and there's so much color and there's so many, there's so much here. Now we're on the other side of the spacecraft, and I try to keep a piece of the spacecraft in every picture if at all possible. And down below, right there, where you can see the lines, is another beginning of another layered construction. There's only 1 or 2 steps there. And on the top of that construction, which again is taller than everything else around, there's one very tall building. One of the differences that I've seen with looking at these pictures of the moon, and I feel like I really got lucky with this picture, but you see a lot of windows and other types of openings. And there's what looks like a big Ferris wheel. I mean, it really looks kind of like a big sprocket sitting there on its side. But it's right next to the boulevard, and that boulevard extends for a pretty long ways up there. You see it? And I'm showing it to you right there with no lines or anything. Goes up from about the 7 o'clock position up to just about noon. There it is. And it leads right up to this great big construction that's up in the air. This high. I'm not going to call it a high rise. To me, it looks almost like modular construction, and they just keep building up and up and up, and layer after layer, layer after layer, just like Mars. Row after row of building, just like Mars, and other places that we've seen. So, these people are all connected. We're all connected. I think the same people who live on Mars are the same people that live on Mercury or Venus. They're all the same. A very neat looking building here. There's so many things. It's a very complicated construction. And again, before you want to say that this is image artifacts, you need to slow down and pay close attention. The best thing I can tell you to do is focus in on something and start moving around from there. And you'll see that these are individual buildings of all different shapes and sizes and design features. Also here we have what appear to be craters. But once again, we know from experience that these are not craters. They look like craters. They're round like craters, but they're not. And they're either made to look like craters or it just so happens that they do. In my opinion, they make them to look like craters. This is a big illusion for us because after all, they're right in front of us, right? They're right under our noses, or right over our noses anyway. So here's another example of what you might think is a crater. Now look how dark this picture is. All right, this is what I'm working with, you guys. So if you're not real happy with my pictures, come back and take a look at this, and you should probably give me a pat on the back for getting as far as I have. But look at that thing. It rises up above everywhere else, and look in the middle of it. There's a structure coming out of the middle of that crater. But this is not a crater. This is a construction that's high above the ground. I don't know how long, or how high. We never know that because of the scale problem. But it is definitely much higher than the surrounding area, and including that area to the right of it. Now, some of these pictures are a little, too much of this or too little of that. I'm just trying to make it bold enough for everyone to see. And I highlighted the building coming out of the top of that circular construction that rises up above. And it seems to be there's some kind of a pipe down there to the right of it. I don't know. Of course, I don't have any idea what that's all about, but there it is. And then also on the right over here are some buildings on this flat surface here. And I think that's actually a built-up surface, but I'm not going there right now. But there's a few buildings there on the top. And these 15-minute videos, I'm not that long-winded. Sometimes it's hard for me to fill in the blanks. I don't want to sound repetitive, which I know I do that all the time, and I always misspeak. One of the things you should look for in all of the pictures is look in the background where the lines go. These are streets, for lack of a better word. They're the same as we are. They have to have some order in these constructions, so they have streets and rows and this type of thing. And in amidst all of these other buildings, there's this very large structure that seems to have a platform down low. It's just a big, complicated building of some sort, and it's completely surrounded by other structures. And no doubt it's surrounded also by some image artifacts. Now, again, we always talk about how the moon has no color, yet in their own picture they have a lot of color in this picture. And I don't think they filtered it, because there's different colors. Sometimes they filter things to look all one color. So I don't have an explanation. But that's some very interesting construction right here. And you can see again what looks like an orientation, a line, a street. And this is only a partial picture. It's too bad we couldn't get more in this area. We'd probably get more streets. But it's beautiful colors, and I see very frequently what I see is green on the ground. When I see green, it's between the buildings on the ground. Wonder what that's all about. So we're going way back here. How many miles away is that? And look how dark it is. These are tough pictures, but they're good enough. I mean, we can see that there's obvious major construction going on here. There's this thing here that looks like an alien skull. Okay, it has two big eyes, looks like it has a nose, even looks like it has nose holes. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's a coincidence. I could be wrong, but it'd be pretty strange just to have a big picture or a big statue of an alien skull right stuck on the side of that construction there. So whatever it is, I don't know. But that's what it looks like, but I don't think that's what it is. Who knows? Now this blue thing out here in the middle of nowhere, right by this little crater, which is not a crater, this thing is out there because it's illuminated by the crater. In other words, the brightness coming out of the crater is affecting the front side of that blue thing, whatever it is. And it also has a top on it, so the blue light doesn't get up there. Very interesting. You know, who knows what it is. It's a very busy area here. Again, you've got windows and openings to see, and looking down about the 7 o'clock position there is you can see the ground, and there's various size structures all around there. And sometimes just the black and white picture is the best way. It eliminates some of that unwanted color. It just gets too messy sometimes, so the black and white really helps bring out some of these pictures, especially these ones that are far away, you know, in this darkness. The gray really seems to help out a lot. Back there it looks like another crater, but of course it's not. Actually, this is to the right of that. Now, look in the upper left quadrant of this picture. Before I said those are buildings stretching out into the distance, and I couldn't prove it. I think they look like buildings stretching into the distance now, and I would say they're in the picture, and I'm saying those are buildings stretching out into the distance. There's even a couple white rectangular buildings in the back there that you can see, but you know, it's blurry, I know. And whatever this square construction is up on the top right there. Now over here on this part back here looks like a crater, but it is super busy. It is not a crater. I'm having trouble talking tonight for some reason. Maybe it's just been a little too long since I put a video out. I don't know. I've been working hard at this. And close up now of that same area, obvious structures, some very large structures on the left-hand side here, and towards the middle, just left of the middle, some very large rectangular, you know, like apartment-style buildings, really. And in the background, they have those long rectangular openings. Obviously, this is not rocks. Obviously, this is not regolith. And even if there is some image artifacts in these pictures, there's plenty here that is not image artifacts. This picture right here was probably the most difficult, but one of the coolest pictures of all. It has a construction out there. It's a square construction in the left of center, a little bit up. Where it's a square construction on a square construction on a square construction, so like a cake, you know, like a wedding cake, and a row of black buildings leading up to the big square building on the top. It sort of reminds you of a temple style, but as I said, I know it's a tough picture. Just a tough one, but you can see all the structures to the right on the hillsides behind it, and down in the crater itself, you can see it right from coming out from the 3 o'clock position is a semicircular part, and inside there are other structures. So these buildings all around the wedding cake are easy to see. The wedding cake is not so easy to see. Now, even this bright crater here. This crater looks to me like it's illuminated, and you can see a grid work of structures in there. If, you know, I'm not going to get into the sunlight, but it seems to be illuminated all the way around, which, of course, that only happens when it's coming straight down on top of you, and by the reflection off of some of these roofs, that's not the case. So, I don't know. Interesting place, and then some big structures off to the top right up there. It's an amazing place, you guys. I hope you enjoyed these pictures. Let me know. I'm dying to hear from you all. It's missing some of you guys. Haven't heard from you for a while. Let me know. Would you want me to do more of this? You want me to work harder on this picture, get more out of it, or do I need to move on? You let me know, okay? Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.